Hello everybody, my name is Sam and this is Oxcentric. I know that things have been pretty quiet on the channel for a while now, but it's mainly because this summer I've been up to so much other really exciting stuff, including various trips abroad, and the thing that I want to share with you all today, which is my summer internship. I spent a month this summer with a company called Newton Europe. If you've never heard of them before, what Newton mainly do is the thing called operations consultancy. That means that other companies will hire Newton to come in, assess their processes and the way that they do things, and then implement changes that will save the company time and money. What I was doing was called the Newton Summer Academy. It's a new scheme focused on equipping people with the skills that they need to actually go into consultancy, as well as giving them a taste of what working at a company like Newton is like. It's broken up into two main sections. The first 2 weeks is basically training and equipping you with the skills and knowledge that you'll need to actually do the job. And the second 2 weeks is working on a real project with one of the Newton Foundation's partner charities, although that may well change going forward. During the internship, Newton covered nearly all of our expenses, so that included putting us up in a really quite nice hotel in Oxfordshire near the head office, all of our meals, and also an entertainment budget as well, which was really good. And on top of that, we did get paid a proper salary too. This video is going to be a bit of an insight into what a day in the life on the Consulting Summer Academy was like, so I hope you enjoy. Throughout my time at Newton, I got quite settled into my morning routine. First, I'd get up about 7:15 AM, get myself a shower, do my hair, then get dressed. Following that, I'd brush my teeth. Yes, I'm doing them before breakfast so I don't have to come back to the room later, please don't judge me, and get a shave. Admittedly, the questionable singing wasn't present every morning. Following this, I'd usually have about 10-15 minutes spare for myself before I needed to get breakfast. One really good habit I got into during the 2 weeks of training was to recap everything I learned the previous day and write that in my notes so it really stuck. I'd also take the time to respond to messages which I likely wouldn't get to later in the day, and generally do a bit of life admin. At last, it was breakfast time. Food. After demolishing that, it was time to leave the hotel and get to head office. On the first day it was very The Apprentice-esque because we were all heading out in shared taxis, but by about week 3 we were all car sharing instead. Oh, by the way, this is Charles.
Sam definitely looking peering into the distance.
this is main character.
Time for a quick look at Newton head office, which is located pretty near to where I study in Oxford. Most Newton consultants don't spend much time here, but it's where you do your initial training, and there are of course plenty of head office staff keeping everything running smoothly. This day I was set up at the hot disking area where they have this awesome dual monitor setup that made me really feel like I should be calling someone and shouting very important things about stock prices. Head office is also well equipped with kitchens and very well stocked fridges and snack bars. Between this, hotel breakfast and expensing dinner, it's fair to say I ate very well over the internship. After a brief kickoff meeting, it was time to get down to business. I recorded this day in the life in week 4 when I was nearing the end of the internship. I was working with a charity called the Elephant Group who aim to improve access for the top third of non-selective state school students in the UK, helping them to earn places at the top third of UK universities. My project was to write an in-depth guide of the Oxbridge admissions process, which could be the basis for an official resource. This brief was super close to my heart, being an alumni of these kind of schemes myself, and ironically rereading some of my old YouTube video scripts about my Oxford journey helped to speed up the writing process quite significantly. There were several different charities that Summer Academy folks have projects with, and even multiple different briefs under the same charity. For example, I was working closely with Charles, who was writing a guide focused on choosing A-levels and how that can fit with your future. One interesting thing that happened that morning was that we did some filming for a Newton internal video and a reel about the Summer Academy, which I took as a prime opportunity to flip the camera on someone else for once.
So what were your perceptions of Newton before you joined and how?
So I think going into it, from the things I heard is Newton was typically STEM Oxbridge, and I think obviously there is still a strong element of that within the company, but I think especially from seeing the other Summer Academy students, but also kind of meeting people, for example at review nights, I have seen that it's much more broad than that.
Thanks for that, Callum. Next, it was time for lunch.
Alright, scran it. Scran it.
The journey of the pizza.
Oh, we're not in focus, lad. Again. Okay, now.
Following that, it was time for our weekly welfare run by Kat, a fellow Summer Academy participant. but only after it took us embarrassingly long to figure out how to turn out the lights in the boardroom. We planned to do some meditation, but then we got distracted and ultimately created a surreal yet surprisingly compelling atmosphere, sitting in a circle and throwing our doubts onto the fire, which was admittedly a video of some ASMR fire, but that is irrelevant. Welfare achieved, it was time to get back to work on writing for the first half of the afternoon, stopping only for a quick Diet Coke break. Later on, me and Charles did a call with our line manager where we mostly talked about progress on our respective deliverables and planned how we would handle presenting our work to the client in a couple of days' time. My line manager was also responsible for running my development sessions, which are a big thing at Newton. In these, once a week or once every other week, you'll meet with another more senior Newton consultant who is responsible for essentially helping you improve at your job and any other related goals you want to work towards. Here you can chat about what you're doing well and the areas you want to improve. I mostly worked on being a better, more active listener, and not always competing to get my voice heard, which was actually incredibly useful. The workday finished with wrap-up, where the team got together and briefly summarised what they did that day and what they were most happy with.
Yeah, and I had a bit of a brainwave the last 5 minutes, so now I need to redo some stuff tomorrow. But yeah, it's been good because it's coming together.
Once the recaps were done, we worked on figuring out some award categories for the NAFTAs, the informal awards we intended to run at the end of the Summer Academy, which promptly became a battle to see who could think of the best categories, most often featuring newts or newt-adjacent animals. After work, we headed straight to Oxford Centre to have a lovely 2-course dinner at a French restaurant. Another great part of the Academy was having our own entertainment budget, courtesy of Newton. That meant we did fancy dinner that night, but earlier in the programme we'd use that to go crazy golfing, attend an Oxford United football match, and even book out a 5-a-side pitch for a game ourselves. At last, it was back to home sweet home for the evening. After I freshened up a bit, it was time to squeeze in a last shift on work. This isn't very common in Newton, and in the actual job it would be pretty frowned upon to be working this late, but I wanted to reduce the chance of needing to pull a late shift the next day, and my deliverable just unquestionably needed more work to get it to the standard I wanted it to be. Either way, I was very pleased because that night I managed to get all my written guide wrapped up before I went to bed, meaning the next day I'd be able to focus all of my mental energy on just the presentation of the guide for the charity stakeholders the following day. As a bit of a bonus, here's a quick tour of my honestly pretty lush room in the hotel where I was staying. And welcome. So for just one person, it's really quite a massive room. We've got a huge, I think, king-size bed. Then we've got a little desk where theoretically I've tried to do some homework, but equally the chairs aren't quite right, so I just prefer to work in the hotel lobby. We also have a TV, though I don't really watch much TV in general, let alone whilst I'm as busy as I am here. Quick look in the full body mirror. Hello, folks. And we've also got a very nice bathroom in here as well. So I managed to request the same room for all of the 4 weeks that I've been out here at the hotel, and I think it's been quite nice. It's felt more like a home away from home as opposed to just a random hotel room where I stay for like 2 nights and then move to a completely different room. Actually spending this long in a hotel is really not atypical for a Newton consultant. How the job works is that there's quite a bit of traveling around as you're traveling to the various projects and sites that you're working on, so that during that time you can be quite far from home, and therefore you are probably living out of a suitcase and staying in hotels. In some sense, I found it kind of similar to uni life in the sense that I'm fully independent again, although during my uni life I absolutely do not get served a full English breakfast every single day. On reflection, the Summer Academy was a great experience. I learned an awful lot, and I think I had far more fun than I was expecting to. I would also say that's partly down to the amazing people who were just fantastic and really made the experience what it was. So if you're considering consulting maybe as a career after you graduate, or perhaps like me, you're just not quite sure what you want to do and think that might appeal to you, then I'd highly recommend looking at Newton and also looking specifically at the Summer Academy. Definitely gets a thumbs up from me. Thanks for watching this video. Please like and subscribe for more content.